I'm going to make a favorite of a lot of people, and it's some black bean soup. But I am so lazy today. So what I'm doing is the onions, the carrots, and the celery I'm throwing in to the Cuisinart for the simple reason I'm not in the mood to dice it up very fine. And later on I would have to puree it a little bit with the beans, and this way the vegetables are already done. And the lemon I'm putting in there also. That's the half a lemon, that way I don't have to squeeze it. That's not being too lazy. The beans, I will never use canned beans, so these have been soaking overnight. And I'm using a different spice that I found at this is a local place I go, but they have an online website. This seasoning has just about what I'm looking for and a little bit more. It has cinnamon, allspice, celery, nutmeg, cloves, white pepper, black pepper, mace, bay leaves, and salt. Well, quite a few of these items I would put into this to give it a nice little different flavor, but not too much because it's really black bean soup, not a spicy herbal soup. So as you see right here, I have the vegetables, but if I don't connect this properly, like to put this piece in here, it won't work, will it? So let's pulse it. That way you get an even dicing effect. And after it pulses a little, just run it. And that's good enough. And we're going to put this in a pan. We're going to put just a few drops of olive oil, sweat it up a little, save the scallions for the end. You can use Italian parsley in here. You could put cilantro, and I'm going to throw in a drop of, because I love the taste of basil, some basil puree at the very, very end, and very little, but that's like an optional thing. It's only because I like it. And this is not vegetarian because over here we have a good chicken stock, and if you're not going to make your own, then buy a liquid one. Never use that powdered cube stuff. It's horrible. So the hardest job just now was to do the vegetables, cut them up with a knife, put them in the Cuisinart, dice this up. Now it's a no-brainer in a way. We put the vegetables, the beans, the right amount of stock. You let it simmer for about an hour and a half, and you're done. And what are you going to serve it with? Maybe you'll put a dollop of sour cream in it. Maybe you'll serve a little rice with it. It's up to you. Or just eat it plain with some crackers, some French bread. A million ways to go. I forgot one item in here. The most important item of all. You know, you can use bacon, salt pork, ham. So since I have all of this prosciutto sitting around in my freezer, let me just throw it right in there with the vegetables. Pulse it around a little. And there I have my ham flavor in there. What more could you ask for? Okay, let's get this going, because it's 2:30 now and I want to have this for dinner, so we'll make it. Let's sweat up those vegetables a little. I put olive oil. See what I use? This sriracha hot chili sauce bottle after I finish it. This is the only non-drip container that I've ever had that works, that I made. The other ones that you spend a lot of money for in the store, they drip like crazy. So we're going to sweat this up. Get the vegetables out of here. We're not looking to get any color. If you do get a little color, it doesn't really matter. But sweating them up just brings out the essence of the vegetables, more flavor than just throwing them into the stock and allowing them to boil. And since this mix I have has bay leaves in it, and I'm not going to put any. Normally I would probably put a couple of bay leaves or bay leaf powder. So we sweat this up, and I need a little utensil here, and I can't find it. There it is. You think, take a look at this. This is the way somebody in my house likes to keep all of the utensils. Do you think there's enough in there? I don't want to mention any names, but that's how it is. But we live with it. If she doesn't view this video. Sweat this up, and the salt can be added at the very end because it's not a piece of butcher's meat where you need that in the beginning, but with a soup you could put it in any time. But usually if you put it in the beginning, sometimes it gets stronger. So if you wait to the end, it's just a little safer. So this is sweating up. It's just fine. Put it on a high flame because there's a lot of moisture here, and it certainly will not brown. So we just quicken this by putting a high flame, and we're going to get this spice mixture that I have. It has a very nice aroma. If you're accustomed to smelling like allspice and cinnamon and that kind of stuff, you'll appreciate this. So we're going to I'm only going to put a tablespoon in there because this is my first time using this item, and if it enhances the flavor, I might add some more at the end. But I want to have a nice bean flavor, not to be overpowered by any spice or herb. Okay, this is good. Now we're going to slowly walk over to the sink, get the drained beans. And after they were drained, I washed them again. And you can hear them, they are not canned beans. And now for the soup stock. Now the level, I'm just guessing, but I'm usually pretty accurate. I got 2 quarts here. This is going to cook for about an hour and a half or so, right? So as soon as this comes to a boil, well, you know what you can also put in here is a little tomato. A little bit of tomato. And I happen to have some tomato sauce, but I'm going to leave it out. But I would put in there like a 1/4 cup of a nice tomato sauce also. Because since I set this recipe up this way, I don't want to change it at all. Okay, this is going to come to a boil. And we're going to take a lid and cover this as soon as it comes to a boil, and then let it simmer for the rest of the time. I set my kitchen timer here for 90 minutes start, and that's it. Now that wasn't so bad, was it? And we should finish up with something that's very tasty. Okay, I'm going to cut this film off now, come back here in an hour to check it and see how it is. Let me mention, I'm only using this style of cookware to get more of a visual on it. As you can see, it's easily seen, but I would use a deeper and more narrow soup pot. Well, it's been an hour, and then we'll just take a look at this. It's giving off a nice aroma throughout the house. Now I'm going to leave the lid off and let it reduce. Let's see what happens in about a half hour. Raise the flame just a little bit. And in a half hour, I'm going to check it again. It's been an hour and a half, and I just checked one of the beans. They're not done yet, but if you see the amount of liquid that's in there with the beans, I don't want to have any more or less. So now, put the lid on. I'm going to let it simmer for another half hour. So that means this has taken 2 hours. Well, that's been another half hour, so that's 2 hours and we're done. Well, you can take your speed stick and just break up some of the beans to give this thing a little body. That should do it. Now we'll check the consistency of this thing. We're going to add 1 heaping teaspoon of sea salt. Now you can add some hot sauce to this, because that mix that I used had some pepper in it, but not enough really for me. There, not too thick and not too thin. Now to finish this off, I'm going to put in there some more diced up prosciutto, so you see it and you can chew on it a little bit, and also the scallions. Now if you're not going to use like this mix, I would put in there a teaspoon or 2 of cumin, chili powder, pinch of thyme. You play with it. That's what you do with food. You got the basics here, the stock, the beans, the vegetables, and then you play with the amount of spices and herbs that you want to put in here. And there we go. Now we give it a little taste. Now if I was making this for someone else, which I'm not, I would have put maybe a little more salt in there. But primarily this is for me. So I'm satisfied with all the natural flavor with not that much salt. That was enough salt. And this has a nice flavor. This is pretty good stuff. So now we put this into a bowl, and like I said, you can have a dollop of sour cream in it, a little rice. We'll just have this soup and then go on to your salad and main course. Anyway, this should make about, we started off with 2 quarts of stock and the beans, I would say, because I'm not in the mood to measure it right now, at least 3 quarts. There you go. I hope you enjoy this.